In this video, we're going to talk about how to get big commercial cleaning contracts. If you are wanting to build a commercial cleaning business, or if you have a cleaning business already and you're wanting to know how do you get those $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, or even bigger contracts, then this video is for you. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about everything that you can do to get those big contracts to grow your business faster. How do you find these big contracts? Then how do you get the opportunity with them in order to give them a bid or a quote? And from there, we're going to talk about how do you actually seal the deal and win that big account. So how do you find these large commercial cleaning contracts that you can use to grow your business even faster? You've got three main ways. You can Google the largest employers in your area. Simply type in largest employers, and for me, Asheville. For you, insert your city or your town, and you're gonna get a list of employers that shows up from there. Now be aware that some of these employers might be international or national employers. It doesn't mean that all of the employees listed in those numbers are local, but still they're an extremely large employer. They probably have a lot of facilities under management and need a lot of help with their cleaning services. Next is Google Maps. And what you can do with Google Maps is you can start in a bird's eye view and check out different areas of your town and your city and find those industrial parks. Find the office parks or any medical parks or any other areas that have clusters of facilities or large facilities. And you can actually count the parking spaces. You don't need to go one by one, but you can get an idea of how much traffic is going into these facilities and how many facilities are there inside each of the doors. So what you don't want to do is go to, say, an office park, and each office building has maybe 8 tenants inside of it, but there's maybe only 20 parking spaces around the building. That's not really going to be what you're looking for. What you really want to find is one office building that has a lot of parking spaces. Let's say 50 to 100 parking spaces, and there's only one company inside that building. That's what you want to do whenever you're searching on Google Maps. And if you want to make this Google Maps process go even faster, there is a trick. You can use something called D7 Lead Finder or another service called Outscraper. These are called Google Maps scrapers. What they do is they crawl Google Maps in your area based on the criteria that you put into it, and they can actually tell you all kinds of information about the companies that are in your area, including employee size, how many people work there. Now, it's not exact and it's not perfect every time, but it gives you a really good idea of which ones are the large employers. You can find them, you can sort for the largest ones, then you can go to Google Maps and check them out and validate it from there, look at their website. But that's a good way to speed up your process by using a Google Maps lead scraper. And then the third way of finding very large commercial cleaning contracts is actually through commercial property managers or commercial leasing agents. You can also check out commercial brokerages in your area. Again, you want to Google these companies, look at how many property managers work for them. They often have construction teams that work for them and maintenance teams and all kinds of services that they offer their tenants, including janitorial services. Now, they don't in-house these services. They usually contract them out to all of their tenants. Some facilities that they have actually don't get done through the property manager, but the property manager can refer you into those large facilities if you have a good relationship that's built. So property managers are great if you want to check them out as well. Now, you want to avoid any residential property managers, of course. We're talking just commercial ones that are tied to large facilities. And here's a neat thing too. The reason we want to check them out on Google or their website is because they often list and display the properties that they have available and that they are leasing right now or that are about to be leased or that need tenants in them. So then you have a really good idea of what their needs are, what the potential is with them, and how large of a deal you could expect with that property management company. Now, we've covered 3 ways of finding large facilities, and of course, you know your area. If you're new to the area, these 3 ways are very helpful. But if you have been in your area a long time, then of course you know where the large facilities are. But we're not quite done doing the digging yet on finding them, because once you find the facility, we need to figure out who's the person that's really in charge of this. So I want to give you a little bit of info on that real quick. When it comes to figuring out who can help you get the business at these large facilities, it's often not the office manager. And it's often not the owner, because it's such a large organization. The owner can be so distant. It might be a group of owners or a board or something like that. So their decision structure is a little bit different. So here are some job titles that you can look for and ask for if you're having any trouble figuring out who is over the cleaning for those facilities. So here they are in no particular order. You're often, especially in industrial environments, going to run into a purchasing department. So who is over purchasing? The lead purchaser. Sometimes it's not the lead that you got to go through directly, but still that person is going to decide who's going to get the contract and who's not. You also could run into buyers, corporate buyers, strategic buyers, senior buyers. Anyone that is in the buyer position, usually within the purchasing department, is someone that you're going to want to target. Then you have facility supervisors or maintenance supervisors that can oversee the facilities. Next, you have operations managers. It's not often that we see operations managers, at least in my area, being over the entire facility as far as the cleanliness goes. Typically, it is a facilities supervisor. If there is an operation manager involved, they're delegating that to the facility supervisor. Then we also have an administrator. In the medical field, what you'll see a lot of times is clinical administrators, or even nursing administrators, being the ones that are over the sanitation and the cleanliness for the facility. You will still get some operational managers, but administrators in the medical space are very common as far as having to deal with them to get the opportunity to get in and give a quote. Next, you obviously have the executive level. And it's surprising how many CEOs are directly involved in dealing with the cleaning companies. We've seen this once again in the medical space, but most of the time it's going to be a chief operating officer and even a chief financial officer. So that's COO and CFO. But you can run into situations where it's the CEO that you got to deal with in order to get the contract. Now, obviously, that's a lot of different positions that you could be asking for. So what I recommend is going to the facility or just calling and asking anybody in the facility, hey, who's the person that oversees the cleaning services in your facility? Or who's the person that's in charge of hiring the cleaning service for your facilities? That's all that you need to do. You can expect someone typically in one of those roles to be the person you're going to be directed to. But if you can't get a clear answer for anybody, what you can do is either search the company's website or call in and ask for the purchasing department, or call in and ask for the facilities department, the maintenance department. That way you can get to somebody that can get you some sort of answer within that facility as far as how do you get the opportunity to do the bid. Now, before we do jump into how do you get the opportunity, it's really important to know that you don't have to do all of this finding if you set yourself up with a digital presence that allows them to find you. Now, we do have help for you with that on the website of commercialcleaningsceo.com. But if they find you, it removes all of this work, right? You've got to be ready for it. You got to be present for it. Your website has to look good. It has to appeal to these individuals who are looking to take care of a large facility. But that's a very, very good thing to consider with your business, is spend time on your digital presence. That way, whenever they do check you out, whether that's before and they find you and then they call you, which is the perfect scenario, or after you get the opportunity with them and they do start going through the vetting process, they're going to look you up your website. You need to be ready for that situation. So be easy to find. That way you can be easy to be found, but also it's going to help you whenever you do get in the door, whether you've pursued them or they found you. That way you look credible. Okay, so now that we've found them, or even if they found us, how do we get the opportunity to complete a bid for them and to get a walkthrough, get a meeting, get in the door, shake some hands, and start winning their business? The first thing that you have to know with this is you need to be patient, because many times they have a whole process in line for receiving contracts, opening a what's called RFQ, which means a request for quote, or an RFP, which stands for request for purchase. And they're going to have a whole procedure that they need to follow. They need to get quotes from multiple vendors sometimes, and most of the time, but you need to be anticipating it to be pretty thorough of a process they're going to want you to walk through. And this process can be done once a year. It's not typically done multiple times during the year unless there's an extreme scenario that's going on with their current contractor. So what you want to do, being understanding of this, is when you do connect with the right person, if you're the one reaching out, is to ask, how can I get set up as a vendor? What do we need to do to be ready for the next time that you open up the bidding process? That way they feel understood. They know that you know how difficult of a process it can be for them, and it gets you in line, and it makes you look good in their eyes that you're ready to do whatever they need you to do, and you're going to be patient and you're going to be thorough about it. Just ask and get in line for when the opportunity does present itself. Some companies, you simply just they'll just ask you, follow back up with me in 3 months. Some companies will actually have an official vendor registration process. But no matter what they tell you, just keep in mind that your goal right now is just to get in line for the opportunity. And then if you want to get multiple of these larger contracts, get in as many lines as you possibly can. Now, there's actually 2 things that you can do to sweeten this up a little bit and maybe speed up the process and add a little bit of favoritism on your side in order to get the deal. What you can do first is make any references to the amount of workload that your company does. You may not have any large contracts right now. If you do, that's great. But if you don't, you can talk about the total amount of work that your company does either on a nightly or on a monthly basis, and how your team is ready to serve them whenever they need you. So let's say it's a 100,000 square foot facility, but you don't have any facilities like that. Let's say that most of your facilities are under 5,000 square feet, but you might have 20 of them. You might have fewer than 20 of those, but you can still say, look, we already do about 80,000 square feet of cleaning every single night, or 200,000, or whatever it is across all of your accounts. And you can explain how our team does this while driving around, obviously, right? Which is a lot more complicated than being on one site with one team, with one set of supplies that are in multiple closets that are on site. It's a lot more efficient, but you can help them see that you're ready and you're capable. You can reference whatever accounts that you need and say, we're already nearby you, or this one is one that's a similar size to you, or we serve this one that's way over your size, so of course we can help you out. Don't make them feel unimportant, but show them that you can definitely take care of them by listing off a couple references for them to have in their mind about you. And then the second way that you can sweeten the pot and again add some favoritism to your side is you can offer to do any project work. Is there anything in the facility that isn't being covered by the current cleaning contract that they would like to see done? Can you go in and do a strip and wax, or a carpet cleaning, or any duct cleaning, or any window cleaning, or anything that can help them out? That way they can see your work, they can see how you operate, they can see how you communicate. You can give them a taste and of that experience of working with you, so that when the bidding opportunity does come up, you're not complete strangers. So to get the opportunity, it's all about getting in line. And if you need to follow up with them every month, 2 months, 3 months, do that. Give them updates about how your company is doing. Give them updates about new services you're offering. Give them updates about what's going on in their local market. That makes you look authoritative in their eyes. And that way they don't forget about you whenever the time comes. So to get the opportunity, we got to get in line. We got to understand their process and follow that process. And then it's really good to keep following up with them, to keep updating them until it's time for us to provide them with a quote. Then we can, of course, leverage any references that we currently have and let them know that we can take care of them, and then offer them the opportunity for us to actually do that with any project work or side work that they might want extra that the other company either won't do or isn't a part of their contract. Now the big question, how do we win them? So what do you do once they ask you to come in and you have gotten the opportunity? If you worked so hard to get to this point, whether it's on your website or you pursued them, and now it's your chance to go in. Let's not drop the ball here. We want to be sure that we win this. There's 3 things that you gotta have. If you don't have them, you need to get them set up and prepared for when this opportunity day comes. The first one is references. Yes, we've already referenced with them in general about how much our business can do and how our team is ready to take care of them, but we need to have individual references from customers ready and available to submit to them so that they can hear from our customers about us. Now, it's very rare for them to not ask for references. There are a couple scenarios where we have won some multi-6-figure contracts without being asked to provide any references, but is because our reviews were very good and they're very public because they're on our Google business profile. So what are some ways to make sure that your references go successfully with a large customer? First, you need to prepare your customer. Let them know and ask their permission. Is it okay if I use you as a reference? I actually have this opportunity. So-and-so is going to reach out to you and they're going to ask for you to share with them about your experience with us as a cleaning service and as our customer. So prepare your references whenever that opportunity does come. That way they're not surprised and they don't actually turn it away as spam. That has happened before. Whenever we didn't prepare a reference, they thought that the person reaching out to them was spam. Thankfully, that customer called me and asked, hey, so-and-so is reaching out to me and asking questions about you. Is this spam or is this something that I should answer? And I told them, please, please do answer. So be sure to prepare your customers to give you a good reference. So what do you do if you don't have any customers that you're confident about with getting a good reference from? Because I know the cleaning space can be really funny sometimes, and we're not always there in person at every single facility, face-to-face with our customers. What you can do is ask, what can we do to earn a 5-star reference from you? They're gonna tell you whatever it is. If there's anything wrong, they'll tell you what that is. You can get it fixed. And oftentimes fixing something that's wrong builds the relationship better than it used to be before the problem even happened in the first place. So it's a really good thing to go ahead and ask your customers, what can we do to earn a good reference from you? Now, what you want to do is once you've gotten your permission and you've got your references ready, when you submit those references, you want to call out a few factors about that reference to the person that you're giving the references to and say, this one is a great example of how we can solve this problem for you. This reference is a great example of this type of facility that's very similar to yours. This reference is a 7-day-a-week customer just like you, so there's a lot in common that you can learn from them about how we operate. So find what you can about what the customer that you're trying to win wants and call that out in the reference whenever you're submitting the information to them. Now, before you do go in with this opportunity, I do have an entire video on how to do commercial cleaning walkthroughs. And it actually is the same process that I follow for doing very large facilities. So be sure to watch that before you go into this. That way you have everything ready and you're prepared. Okay, we got our references in line. We're good to go with those. Now, the next step is we need to make sure that we bid them right. The first step to bidding them right is actually not going and calculating this price with the right margins, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but it is actually making sure that you have read in totality their request for purchase document or whatever document they released with all the details. Because here's what happens. Oftentimes you've done the walkthrough with them, you go back to your office or your home, you put the quote together, but then you read through the document and you find out that there are differences. Your notes say one thing, they want this area cleaned 2 times a week, but in the document it says, we want this cleaned daily. What you wanna do is, this makes you look really good, is to ask the customer, what do they want you to do? Which would they prefer? That helps you stand out when you're asking very insightful questions about any differences that are out there. And the customer is going to correct that in their process moving forward, and they're going to be thankful to you for that. So that, again, puts some more favor on your side because they're thinking this person is a critical thinker and they're going to not leave out any details when it comes to services for us. So be sure you read their entire document, call out any differences, and ask for clarity on those. Also, with their bidding document, their RFQ or their RFP, they might require you to actually submit your bid details through that document. Some of them require you to hand deliver the document. You don't want to email this quote in not having read the document. The document says only hand delivered or mailed documents will be accepted. So be sure you understand every part of their process. One last example on this, and this actually happened within our company, it was a very, very large quote. It was about $400,000 a year, couple locations. And the document on it had this huge list of things it wanted to know about us, like our mission statement, our values, and all this history, different details about processes. But then whenever we read the fine print on the document, it wasn't exactly fine, but it was hard to navigate this thing. it actually said all that you need to fill out is your company name and then this one policy down here to sign off that you agree to it. And we didn't have to fill out all that other stuff because that document was meant for so many of their vendors, not just cleaning vendors. It was for anybody that does business with them. So be sure that you read everything that they give you so that you can bid it right. So the second part of bidding them right is obviously the price. Now that we understand what they want and they understand exactly what they want, we can take this information along with our measurements and all our notes from the walkthrough and put together a price that's going to put us in a great spot to win their business. Now, I honestly think that it's easier to figure out the price for these larger accounts than it is for the smaller accounts. And here's why. With larger accounts, you can think in terms of how many full-timers would this take to clean every single night. Also, the customer might even say, we have someone during the day that cleans that you need to hire, and then we need this many other people during the evening or this many people during third shift. They might even just tell you exactly what they need, and then your pricing is very easy to do. Whereas a smaller account, it might just be portions of hours, correct? It might be 30 minutes. Is this really a 30-minute account? Is this a 2.5-hour account? Or is this going to take 5 hours and 15 minutes every single night? And if you get it off just by a little bit, you might lose the opportunity for their business. But these big ones are not that way. They're often very clear about what they need, and you can take that information and figure out how many full-timers do you need in order to take care of this very large facility. When it does come time for you to pick that price that you're going to put into the bid to win this account, do keep in mind that the amount of time that it takes to manage one of these big accounts is not directly proportionate to the amount of time it takes to manage smaller accounts. Here's what I mean. If it takes you 2 hours per week to manage a $1,000 a month cleaning account, it is not going to take you 40 hours per week to manage a $20,000 per month cleaning account. It's not the same thing. It might take you about 10 hours a week, or maybe even 5 hours a week to manage that $20,000 per month account. So keep that in mind, that you don't need to mark up these large accounts as much as you would need to mark up your smaller accounts. Typically, where I like to stay is around a gross profit or a gross margin of around 35 to 40% on these large accounts. Whereas our smaller accounts, we might have a gross profit or a gross margin of about 60 to 50% on those. If you do want to have a lot of confidence with your pricing and which margins you should pick, we do have some resources on the Commercial Cleaning CEO website that you can check out. Now that we've got our references ready, we're presenting them well, and we're going to bid this account right, there's one more thing that we have to do, and that is we need to be able to present their desired processes that what they want to see in us. I'm going to show you the list in just a moment, but what you really want to do is make sure that the processes that you're showing them give them the confidence that you are the one that can fulfill the contract and do it sustainably and consistently over the long run. That's the point of these processes that you want to show them so that they can trust that you're the one that'll be able to take care of them better than anybody else. So with that, here is the list of processes that you need to at least write out, draw out, add into your business, and be sure to add some marketing material around so that you can present it well. You need to have an employee training and onboarding process that displays how your cleaners and your team are trained to enter their facility ready, willing, and prepared to fulfill the contract and to hold up their quality to the standards that they want. You also want to display a quality control plan. What do you do and what does your management do and what do your employees do that are cleaning? What do all of you all do in order to make sure that quality is consistent and held to their standards? You also want to have safety training and contingency plans that everyone is aware of so that if anything goes wrong, everybody knows exactly what to do within the facility. And then the last major plan that you want to display, and this is by no means the least important, but is actually extremely important, is how does communication work with your company? Do you have on-site logs? Do you have QR codes? Do you have email or phone access? Or is it a combination of all of those? How does complaints get reported? How do your employees know exactly what to do and when to do it? What happens if something has gone wrong in the facility with the cleaning? Who do they need to contact in order to address that? You want to be sure that the communication plan can show them how the relationship will work and how it benefits them, and everything's going to get done faster because you know how things are going to flow whenever issues come up. So there you have it. Those are the core processes that you need to display that are going to help them feel like you're going to be the one that's going to be most successful in providing the services that they want. What if you don't get to present this, or they just ask you to give them some information, you don't get to explain it? The best thing you can do is actually submit a video presenting your proposal to them. Now, some large accounts may not accept video, but if you can ever get a video presentation of your proposal into anyone's hands, that way you can unpack the details and show how the process and support everything for them, that helps tremendously and makes you look very professional. So there you have it. That's how to win the big, huge commercial cleaning contracts. Right after you find them, you get the opportunities and you follow the processes and get your company ready to seal the deal and get their business and grow your business even faster. Please like the video. If you want any more help with your commercial cleaning company, you can check out commercialcleaningsceo.com, where we have some free resources available to you. My name is Matt. I built a multi-7-figure commercial cleaning company in under 5 years, and I'm very blessed to have experienced that. So what I do is show you exactly how to do the same. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep building.